Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Guildford Toastmasters. Please welcome Laura Laverne, our president.
A very warm welcome to everybody. I'm Laura Laverne, the president of Guildford Speakers here, and we'd like to very briefly tell you what Guildford Speakers is about. It is one of more than 2,000 clubs, part of Toastmasters International. We have between 30 and 40 people who would typically be coming to a meeting, and they come from all backgrounds, all ages, all sexes, from university up to business directors. One thread that all the members have in common who come to Guildford Speakers is a desire to develop themselves. The usual reason, surprisingly, is to improve one's public speaking skills, but a really effective offshoot from that, which often isn't appreciated to begin with, is the fact that self-confidence improves hugely. Our website, guildfordspeakers.org, will tell you much more, but it is great to see all of you here this evening. Since we're running an evening with a difference, we need to have someone who will be able to give a spark of humour, enthusiasm, confidence, and ability to the evening. So this is our woman Nicola who will be running it.
Well, welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. We're in for a good evening this evening. Notice I get the cushiest rolls. I think we're going to start swiftly now.
Well, I'm the grammarian for the third time at short notice, and I shall be looking out for good grammar. I won't be looking out for bad grammar because it's all going to be excellent stuff.
Lucinda, are you ready for the warm-up? Because you are doing the warm-up for this evening. So let's welcome Lucinda Slater.
Good evening, everybody. So this is going to be a warm-up, and I'm going to give you a quick subject, and then you are going to have 10 seconds to stand up, say your name, and just reply, and then sit down. So this is all about you. For my job, I do style advice, and I saw a guy the other day, and he had 20 pairs of jeans in his wardrobe. He had too many pairs of jeans, and I'm going to ask you, what have you got too much of in your wardrobe?
Clarita Robinson, Sandy Hill, Ottawa. I think shoes. I have shoes. When I find a shoe that fits me, I usually get it in every color that it comes. My size is 11.5 AAA.
Mark, I would say that I've got so many skeletons that...
Good evening, everyone. Bob Nisbet. I've got two sets of clothes, one for when I'm reasonably thin, one when I've put on the weight. At the moment, I'm right in the middle, and nothing works.
Mr. President, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests, it's great to be here. And I wish that was true. And hardly any wreckage anywhere. I have a hole in the field. They say the aircraft hit the ground so hard it buried itself. It doesn't make sense to me. The subject I'm talking about tonight is false flag operations. A false flag operation is when you attempt to fool people by claiming that what you're doing is actually done by somebody else.
You tremble and lay back and wonder what was coming. It was time to reflect how I got there. And that was because my wife, Pat, complained that I snored. And he looked down my throat and he stuck it down with a plodder and he said, "Oh, you've got flabby muscles up there. The way to cure that is if we take you into hospital and burn the back of your throat with a laser, you get scar tissue there, and that will stiffen it up and you will never snore anymore." But eventually it all went quiet. And dreading the worst, I was wheeled in. Doctor said, "Open wide." Pressed my tongue down so he could get a good aim on the place he wanted to fire at. And then he pulled the trigger. It was rather if you've seen a laser or an arc welder, the result was somewhat spontaneous. There was a blue light, just like you see from an arc welder, and there was a hissing noise. And it was more or less like a miniature volcano, a plume of smoke erupted from my mouth. I did it all for love.
She has had an equally difficult challenge on her hands to evaluate Edward and his accounting speech. So let's welcome Deborah George.
Good body language, eye contact. I noticed that Edward tended to look at this side of the audience more than the right-hand side. So I would say it is the layout of the room, and it is a little bit more difficult, but we do have to remember the people on the right, and this is why I'm looking at you now. So all in all, I would say an excellent speech, and again, very hard to evaluate, but thank you very much, Edward, and hopefully we'll hear you again soon.
Very, very accomplished speaker. He came over and he's got a fantastic style. He's very vocal, and he's very visual. And he's talking about having this problem that many of you ladies know about, and that's snoring. Not that you snore, but... so the snoring issue is always a big one. I would say, don't say look at your notes so much, because you know your story. But apart from that, I thought it was an absolutely fantastic speech. That I thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm sure that everybody else did. Thank you very much.
Hello Toastmasters and very welcome guests. Have we had a great evening?
Yes.
Unusual?
Yes.
Definitely. Challenging? Yes. She was very clear in her words, despite the fact that it was not her first language. She was very clear in what she said. She was very structured. She gave a commendation, a recommendation, and a commendation, which is the standard evaluation. So it was very...
So that's me done for the evening. I would like to hand it back to our president. So, Laura.
And lastly, best speakers were tied, and they were our first and second speakers. So will you please welcome Andy Harburn and Gary Jenkins. Thank you, everyone, for making this a different and great evening. Thank you.